Today we're going to talk about the Chaos Knight Codex and the Imperial Knight Codex and compare the two. The main focus is on the Chaos Knight Codex. This codex is a bit light on pages, 70 pages versus 120. There's only 2 new models out, but there's like 5 new data sheets. And the new models don't build all of the new data sheets. So whilst you get 2 houses in this, and only quite a few in that, and you get 2 new models in this and quite a few in that, you can see why there isn't that many pages here. Because even in the stratagems, they need stratagems for each stated house, but there's only 2 in this, so there's even more stratagems in that than there is in this, for the same reason. Less options really, but at the end of the day you end up building the same knights as them. The new models produce unique, unique-ish knights, but are they worth taking? I don't think so. So let's have a look, shall we? Let's just start with the points cost for various models and kits and what configuration options you get with each kit. Now, war dogs, they're armigers. They call them war dogs on the knight side or the chaos side. You're only allowed to take 3 detachments, obviously, but the Helverines and Warglaive variants, which are all war dogs for chaos players, are all in the same detachment. So you only end up with 9 if you take 3, 3 and 3, 3 models in each detachment, you only get 9. The Imperial player can take 18 because they're 2 separate data sheets. Points wise, I could read out exactly the differences in points, but if you take a Helverine version, a War Dog in the Helverine configuration, you're still going to be paying the same points. It's still 170 points. Even though War Dog is 160 points, your autocannons aren't free. They are for him. You're paying 5 points each. So you end up paying the same points. So they're exactly the same as the Imperial version in all aspects, except for how you take them in the detachment. You can mix them in the detachment. Knight Despoiler. This is possibly the best Knight data sheet. Certainly got the most options. The rest of them tend to be a bit limiting, but this one combines the Knight Galleon, Errant and Paladin options all in one particular data sheet. Right, so as a consequence you can only take 3 of these because there's only one data sheet. The Knight Despoiler, this is possibly the best one. Same points as the Imperial Knights, 285. The Avenger Gatling cannons are 10 points more for Chaos, so that's a bit of a difference. You've got the option to take 2 of everything, basically. 2 every shooter weapon. The Avenger Gatling cannons, the rapid fire battle cannons, the thermal cannons. You could take 1 or 2 of each of them, because it combines all the Knight Gallant, Errant and Paladin options all into one kit. But you need to get the Knight Crusader to get those options. The Knight Crusader kit is an Imperial kit. That's the one you get the guns in. So if you want a Knight Despoiler, buy the Knight Crusader kit. And then you'll be able to build it. If you buy 2, you'll have 2 of each weapon. If you buy 1, you'll have 1 of each weapon. At least that's my understanding. The Knight Tyrant. Basically that is the Castellan and Valiant configuration. Again, they've merged the packs. You can turn the Knight Tyrant into a Valiant or a Castellan. The Knight Desecrator. This is one of the unique knights. It's the one that comes with the Laser Destructor, the one that you've probably seen on most of the pictures when they announced the Chaos Knights. It doesn't come with many options. I mean, you don't get many new models, many new weapons in the kit. You get 2 close combat weapons, 1 for that, 1 for the Rampager, or 2 for the Rampager and that, should I say. But the only weapon you get in the actual kit is the Laser Destructor. and it says you can equip one Thunderstrike Gauntlet instead of the Reaper Auto or Reaper Chainsword. That's the only option, that's the only configuration option you get with the Destructor. So unless you really want the Laser Destructor, you won't be buying the new Chaos Knight. The Rampager, no options there. It's a Chainsword, Thunderstrike Gauntlet and Heavy Stubber. There's not even a Melter Gun option on that one. So the Rampager and the Desecrator, the two new knights, why would you take them? In fact, the Desecrator's 100 points more because it's got the Laser Destructor, and the Rampager's 320 points, and the Imperial version is 285. So why would you take the two new models? Why did GW release these models with them configurations, so few options at them points? Why? Why would you bother? Let's have a look at some weapon costs. Chaos War Dog autocannons are 5 points for you and me. Imperial version 3. Rapid fire battle cannons are 10 points cheaper than the Imperial versions. Shield breaker missiles are 3 points more than the Imperial versions. Thermal cannons are 19 points cheaper than the Imperial version, and the volcano lances are 10 points more than the Imperial version. It'll probably all work out to be similar in the end though. All other weapons and stuff are exactly the same price as the Imperial versions. Faction keywords. What GW have done is they've replaced the Imperial Knights, Questor Allegiance and Household with Chaos, Chaos Knight and Questor Traitoris. Have you noticed how all the Questor Traitoris are what the Empire would call traitors? It's not what traitors would call themselves. You know, they go, yes, I'm a traitor. They wouldn't call themselves that, would they? So it's a very imperialistic book, this Chaos book. And now, clan houses. I really need to, read this to you directly, but it's quite a long section, so I'm not going to. But the Iconoclast household is basically a charge or a heroic action gives you a +1 attack, -2 AP, and +1 dead models if the enemy fails a morale test. It sounds good, but in my opinion, Infernal houses overall seem to be the best catered for. Infernal houses is the other house. If you sacrifice one wound or D3, you can roll or select one option off of the chart for them, which gives you +2 move, 1 advance on charge rolls, or +1 toughness, or 1 range weapon gets 1 strength and 1 damage. I know what you're thinking, I must be mad choosing that over the other one, but that's not why you would want to pick Infernal houses or Infernal houses. That's just what they get to do, right? If you sacrifice 1 point, you could ignore that. Also, one other thing, Lancers, if you have a detachment with 3 knights in it, one of them can be made into a character using the Traitor Lance rule. Now, stratagems, cut and pasted from the Imperial book, yeah, with a few differences. And I'm going to cover the primary differences now, because just as the Imperial book has lots and lots of houses, so it has to have a strategy or 2 for each one, you get 2 houses in this. As a consequence, the Chaos have 23 stratagems, whereas the Imperial have 29. However, each house on the Chaos side gets 4 unique ones. Iconoclast 4 in Infernal houses gets 4. And I'll read you some of them out so you get a feel for it. Remember, I'm saying Infernal ones have a slight edge, and if you go through this book, you will find there's lots of support for Infernal strategies. Well, just think of this: imagine your knight is a character you're building for a roleplay game. Lots of support. Iconoclast, yeah, a bit generic. That's basically the summary of it all. But now, Iconoclast, the generic side of the force, right? Break enemy lines. That's a re-roll hit rolls in melee. Woohoo! We've never seen that one, have we? Vow of Carnage. +1 attacks for every 10 kills. That one sounds interesting. You take all of these at the beginning of the game, by the way. Right, at the start of the turn. You basically, all of these stratagems, you would start the game, you would see what your opponent's fielding, and then you would pick the ones you wanted to run. Most of these you can't run together, you can only pick one. Right, and that applies for the rest of the game. Right, so you might have got 4, but you only get to use 1. Vow of Dominance. Wound rolls against this model of 1, 2 or 3 always fail. Wow, that's a unique one, isn't it? I haven't heard that one before either. Vow of the Beast Slayer. Reroll wound rolls of 1 against targets of 8 wounds or more. Or targets with 8 wounds or more. In fact, most of these are very similar to rules that exist elsewhere with a few small tweaks. So I shouldn't really say, oh, I haven't heard that one before, because technically, you know, I haven't heard that exact way of describing it before, but there's very similar things elsewhere. Infernal Strategies. This is the house I think is actually going to shine. Bind the souls of the defeated. On a roll of a d6, you roll a d6 for every model. On a D, this is every model destroyed. It says on a 4+, the knight gains 1 wound up to a maximum of 6 per phase. So if you charge a bunch of orcs and you kill 6 orcs in melee, and you roll a d6 and you get 3 4s, you're going to get 3 wounds back from that attack. So you could see hordes as a way of regenerating wounds on your knight if you're doing the Inferno houses. You just go, oh, I need a few need a few wounds back. There's a bunch of gene stealers. Stompy, stompy, stompy. And there you are. 6.6 wounds back up. That's a no, 6 wounds better off. You've got a pact with the Dark Gods. On a 4+, a dead knight that didn't explode returned to play with D3 wounds. Every single knight that's in Inferno Knight can do that once per battle. This one here obviously isn't the one you do at the beginning of the game, this is a special one, but once per battle, so 3 knights can do that once each. Demonic Ammunition. Heavy stubbers are strength 5 until the end of the battle. Diabolic Rift. Enemy psychers suffer perils of the warp on any dice roll. Anybody does any psychic shenanigans within 12 inches of this knight, that's it, instant perils. Dreadblades and Damnations. You've seen the Imperial versions of that. It's very similar. It's just a Chaos version. I'm actually having a really hard time understanding why anybody would take any of these though. But I'll just give you a few examples. Right, packs. These are the positives, right? You can roll a 2d6 on these or pick one. Right, okay. Path to Glory. This is basically a reroll to hit roll if you're attacking a character. Thunderous Charge. Right, model suffers a +4, on +4 model suffers D3 wounds if you charge it that turn. Demonic Vigour. Well, this is a complicated one, but you got to roll a d6 on a 1 to 3. You get 2 inches on the movement. 4 or 5. The model's weapon skill goes up by 1. On a 6, it's the ballistic skill goes up by 1. That's the kind of thing you get. All sounds fairly reasonable. There's more down there, but I'll just randomly pick out 3 damnations for you. Warp Rage. This damnation applies. The model can't fall back and has a ballistic skill of 6. Warp Fulge, whatever that is. This damnation applies. The model always fights last in the fight phase, even if it charged and has this ability and would allow it to fight first. Anyway, the damnations are quite severe. Warlord tricks. Remember when I said to you these characters? There was a reason for taking Infernals, and characters in particular could be configured like a roleplay game and things like that. I don't know if I did say that, but they can, right? And you wait till the game starts to do it, so you can see what you're facing. and then choose what you want. Well, it starts with the Warlord traits. That's where the configuration options start coming into play. Certain damnations make some of these things completely ineffective, so there's another reason for not taking any. But anyhow, I'll read you out some of the Warlord traits and you can start to get a feel for it. You've got the Infernal Quest. It's basically objective secured. Hindbringer of Scrap Code. This is what happened on Mars. The Scrap Code basically crashed out and infected the various forges, causing their reactors to blow up during the heresy. So that's what that refers to. It's forbidden code the Emperor didn't want getting out, and it got out. Roll of 4+, says an enemy vehicle within 6 suffers a mortal wound. Knight Diabolus, whatever that is, that's just +1 attacks. This one's an interesting one. Warp Haunted Hull. This is a Warlord to remember. You can deny 1 psychic power, says per turn. Mortal wounds are ignored on a 5+ if the sex is in the psychic phase. Remember, there's actually, I think it's a damnation or something, a stratagem that allows you to automatically cause a knight or an enemy psychic to peril. And now you've got this warp haunted hull as well. You can ignore a mortal wound on a 5+ with that, caused by psychic powers. So warp haunted hull, not a bad one, you know, denying a psychic power, ignoring say smite on a 5+. Eager to kill, +1 advance on charge moves and +1 attack if you're in your own deployment zone. But you can't be that eager to kill, can you, if you're in your own deployment zone? So that one doesn't make much sense. Aurora of Terror, -1 charge for the enemies within 12 inches. Enemy morale is on 2d6, discarding the lowest. So quite good. You wouldn't want a demon knight, you know, a demon warlord type knight. That would fit that character. You know, you'd be able to think, yeah, build it in that direction. Make it into what it's supposed to be. Artifacts. This is the final part of the configuration. Technically you could pick these just before the game starts as well. Chaos get 14. Imperials get 21. So they're getting less again. Now I'm going to read you out the ones I've got here. This one is an Infernal only household artifact. Blasphemous Engine. Although the knight had double the wounds remaining when determining damage tables. So if the knight had 10 damage, or only 10 wounds left, if he had that artifact it would count as 20, even though he still had 10. Feel of Medrengard. This is an Iconoclast only artifact. +4 invulnerable save. I think basically if you're going to be Iconoclast you're really playing it safe, aren't you? You'd be like, oh I'm a bit scared, I'm standing back, I don't want to get my new knight hurt. Where if you play in the Infernal houses you're in there, you know, chopping away. Corner target. I like this one actually. Once per battle, says this model can activate this relic. All invulnerable saves against melee attacks from this knight cannot be made. Says nor can the knight's own invulnerable save. So that's like, he says, right then, me and you guppy man, says you're not getting any vulnerables this time. Here's another one I like. Zechian Pyrothrone. Turns the model into a Psyker. Stacks with Warp Haunted Hull. So that's 3. You've got that automatic perils trait. You know, if the Psyker's within 12. You've got the can deny 1 power option. Plus you can dismiss smite on a 5+. And now you can turn him into a full-blown Psyker, and it stacks. The benefits stack. It says so in the book. Helm of the Warp Sight. Ignores all modifiers for ranged weapons, wave weapon attacks made by this knight. the Diamosas, whatever that is. It basically replaces the laser destructor. Now the differences are this: the laser destructor is a heavy D3 strength 14 weapon, whereas this Diasmos is a heavy 3. There's no D3, it's just a 3, and it's a strength 16 instead of 14. And the Tyrant's Banner, that's +1 leadership to chaos, friendly chaos units within 6 inches. And you get +1 CP on a 5+ at the start of your turn. Again, if you're playing an Iconoclast because you like to play it safe, that's probably one of the artifacts you'd pick every turn. The Teeth That Hunger. This replaces the Chainsword. The Chainsword's a strength 6 weapon with an AP -3. The Teeth That Hunger is a strength 8 weapon with AP -4. Rune of Naktakag. I think they got this off an orc. It's a +4 invulnerable save only for Dreadblades. They're like 3 blades, they don't have any house. Right, so Dreadblade get +5 invulnerable save for that. +1 Dreadblade pack and damnation of your choice. You too could pick a really bad option for your knight for free if you just take this artifact. Plus then you get a benefit as well. But remember, if you wanted to go really risky, full on demonic, right, then packs and damnations, you'd take as many as you could, couldn't you? You'd be risking, you know, failing what is basically a morale check, right, in the hope that you could have all these benefits and none of the disadvantages. So imagine that you've taken. Let's just go back to that. Let's just pick a few here, shall we? Right, you could roll 2 or pick 1. So we're going to roll 2, randomly pick 2. We're going to have, let's have a look, add 1 to this model's leadership at the start of the first battle round. If any models in your army says with this pact are on the battlefield, you'll gain 1 command point. We'll have that one then, shall we? Yeah, that sounds a good one. That's knowledge of the profane secrets. And what about Archfiend? You can perform heroic action from 6 inches away. Brilliant one. So we got them 2. And now we're going to get while system damnation applies, advanced rolls, -1 on advanced rolls and charge rolls. We'll take that disadvantage, right? And we're also going to take randomly, of course. This isn't me picking. Not. Now we're going to take Warp Rage. That's where you get your ballistic still goes to 6+, right? And we're going to hope that when we do our turn, we roll 2 dice, we stay below our leadership. It's a gamble. We get them benefits, but we could get them disadvantages if we basically fail a morale test. But oh look, here we can get an extra 1 of each. So let's go for the galvanized hull, which is basically weapon penetration value of -1 becomes 0, making it anybody with a -1 penetration weapon shooting at your knight, it gets reduced to 0. So we'll have that one as well. And then we'll pick this volatile reactor. You roll a d6 at the end of each phase, says in which this model lost any wounds but was not destroyed. On a 4+, the model loses an additional wound. And we take that gamble. We take all the benefits here in the hope we don't basically fail a morale test. If we do fail a morale test, oh, we're in the crap. So you could be a full-on demonic engine with that artifact and these things going on, and basically just trust to luck, you know. So you could do it, you could have fun. It could be, it generally could be fun to play. I'm not too sure why you do it, other than it's fun, but it could genuinely be fun to play. You got Bound versus Viridian Psychogeist. I'm not even going to attempt that. If you can't pronounce them, make one up yourself. Hit rolls of a 6 for ranged weapons are improved to AP -1. Now if you took some damnations that already made certain hit rolls against you -1 into AP's -0, then you would basically go the opposite direction with your own weapons and make them a bit tougher. Traitor's Mark, -1 or -2 leadership if the enemy is within 6 or 12 respectively. I'm thinking Alpha Legion, you know, that'd be a good support weapon for an Alpha Legion force. Quicksilver Throne of Slanesh. +1 advance and charge rules, or charge rolls, always fights first. Bit of a bummer if you got the wrong damnation, that one, isn't it? It would cancel that one out. Gauntlet of Ascension. This replaces the Thunderstrike Gauntlet. The Thunderstrike Gauntlet is -1 to hit in melee, normally. Destroying a vehicle can cause a mortal wound on a 4+ to nearby enemy vehicles or monsters. That's what I was thinking of earlier. Anyhow, the Gauntlet of Ascension that replaces it is a reroll to hit on hit and wound rolls. Destroying a character gives this model a +1 strength and attacks. So it changes how the weapon works without really changing all its stats. And that is basically the summary of this. Now I'm going to summarise my own thoughts now. I would say if you're going to get a Chaos Knight, you would start with probably the Imperial Crusader Knight. You wouldn't touch the you wouldn't really touch the Chaos Knights that have just come out, because they're crap. They're just Imperial Knights with spiky bits to me, that's all. I much prefer the Forge World one. Anyway, but then you go straight to the back. After choosing your weapons or just deciding what knight you wanted to actually field, you go straight to the back and you start looking at the damnations, legion traits and artifacts, and then you decide, you pick these based on what you felt you wanted to do. And you could do this before the game started, but given the fact you'd be there for ages reading it, you'd want to know what everything does before you arrive at the tabletop, otherwise your friend who you're playing against might get a bit pissed off. When you build your knight, get your codex first before you buy it. Look at the options. This is a bit different from this, right? It's more interesting, I think, in a way. So hope this has helped you out. At some point I'm going to get myself a Crusader and do what I've been telling you about, because I've been through this book now and I think to myself, that's going to be the fun side of it. And for me, fun is why I play this game. So see you next video.